white, raging blizzard, a small polar bear cub crawled bravely through the huge, vast snowdrifts. His glossy fur was being whipped up by the wicked wind, and his black, sharp nose had a tremendous tingling feeling. His eyes were rapidly darting around the bleak, pale landscape in search of a kind, loving friend. His evil, horrible parents had carelessly abandoned him and were now far away in the distance. Sadly, the small polar bear pressed on into the blizzard of flecks of white. His ravenous tummy was loudly rumbling at the lack of mouth-watering, delicious food, and he was petrified. His hard and rough mission was to find someone who really loved him. And suddenly, a mumble from far off caught his attention, and as he turned, he saw a speck of grey some distance off. His sad heart rose from the depths of his black tummy as he realized it was a snow wolf. He began to vigorously run like the wind as the fur streamed behind him. He knew this was it, his chance. He ran over the hills and rapidly leapt up over the mountains and happily slid down the other side. There was just one more obstacle, the giant wall that separated the wolves from the bears. They were at war with each other, and each wanted to rule the land. Sadly, this meant that they could not make friends and not be together. Suddenly, he remembered his great uncle who had cautiously given him a diamond helmet and had said,
"Only use it when needed."
and then walked off. He found the helmet and carefully strapped it round his head, and like a raging bull about to charge, he took a run up and threw himself at the wall. The impact was extreme and a hole appeared in the wall. The polar bear cub rapidly squeezed himself through and saw the little wolf sobbing before his small, black eyes.
He waltzed over to him and put a small, glossy paw on the wolf's furry shoulder. He looked up and smiled happily at the polar bear. Hello.
Hi.
They introduced themselves and explained what they were doing and soon became firm friends. They came up with a plan to stop the war and put it straight into action. They stood on top of the mountain and shouted through a large speaker they had found lying around in the snow. They spoke about stopping the awful battle, and the wolves and the polar bears agreed. They turned guiltily to each other and apologized. From then on, the wolves and the bears happily lived together in harmony, and the snow wolf and the polar bear cub were best friends, and they were never seen apart.
March 20th, 2020.
It was a Friday. We were told that we would not be going to school the following week. Boris Johnson, our Prime Minister, said,
"We must stay at home."
I felt so sad inside me. I knew I would not see my teachers in ages. I cried. My teachers cried. My friends cried, and my mummy did too. On the Monday, our house became a school called BGS. That stands for Bishop's Girls' School, because our family name's Bishop. Our lessons were taught by Mummy in our kitchen. We started our day with Joe Wicks. I felt really sore. My bones ached, and I tried to hide my screaming inside me. I felt straight away that my mummy was a rubbish teacher. I missed my teachers so much. Once, I took myself to the bathroom and I cried out loud. I just wanted my friends and my teacher back. The best bits of home learning was that my handwriting got a lot better, and I learnt my 2, 5, and 10 times tables really, really well. I also didn't have to eat school dinners. We were allowed out once a day. Only once a day. Sometimes we would go for a run. I was terrible and whinged. Sometimes we went to bike rides or we went on walks. Playgrounds were all shut. We were lucky and we got a trampoline. Some children didn't have a garden to play in. Mummy and Daddy kept reminding me and my sister that we were really, really lucky. We did lots of crafts and baking. I enjoyed baking scones with clotted cream and strawberry jam. Delicious. We made bath bombs, an aquarium, and a school snack shop. Over lockdown, we celebrated lots of things, including Mother's Day, VE Day, and my dad's 40th birthday. We had a reward star chart at home, and for our big treat, when we filled the entire chart, we got a surprise. Our surprise was an invitation to the lockdown restaurant. Mummy was the chef, and Daddy was the waiter. He was dressed in shorts, a shirt, and a bow tie and jacket. He looked really funny. They served pizza that we made and lemonade, which we drank out of champagne glasses. It was really exciting, and I said, "Thank you, madam," to my daddy. I was very giggly. I'm glad it's a bit over now, and I can go to playgrounds and school. I'm now in year 3. I still can't have play dates, and the restaurants and shops are closed again. I think Christmas will be a bit different this year. In the vast, deep ocean, there is a lot of wavy motion.
Hearing a crashing, roaring wave makes me frightened and not so brave.
While swimming freely, I spot friendly fish. They zoom by fast and their scaly tails swish, swish,
Swish. Soon after that, I dive. Still surprised, I'm alive.
Taking a deep breath, I swim some more until I make it to the sandy shore.
And slowly walking along the beautiful beach, I buy an ice cream-flavored peach.
Far away in the ocean lurks a menacing shark, and I notice it. Its skin is very dark.
Safely on land, I feel really happy. I imagine the jaws of the shark to be snappy.
Snappy!
Snappy! The foamy and turquoise waves clash, and the whole universe can hear them splash.
Splash! Peacefully enjoying the lovely view, out in the ocean leaps a dolphin crew.
Crabs scuttle to a nearby rock, while seagulls perch on the busy dock.
The calming waves swoosh in and out, and a bunch of beach traders begin to shout.
Shout! I feel this day couldn't have gone any better.
There was no sound in the wood that night, only the distant howls of wolves.
I crept between the trees, the snow soft underfoot, and saw slate-grey jackdaws whirling above me, and then disappearing. I went a bit further. The trees were shrouded in darkness, so were the logs on the ground. I wrapped my shawl more tightly round me as I stopped to pick up another piece of firewood. Suddenly, I had the feeling that I needed to run. Behind me, I heard groups of animals trudging through the snow after me. When I turned round, I saw 10 pairs of eyes staring back at me. My heart racing, I ran even faster, though I didn't know what they were. Then, there were eyes in front of me too. I was trapped. I found a torch in my pocket and shone it around myself. Wolves! They growled at me, revealing teeth like stalactites. And then they started to crouch, and I knew they were about to pounce. Fear crawling down my spine, I started to climb a tree, but there were eyes there too, and paws that grabbed me, pulling me up into the branches. The walls had climbed there too, I thought. But when I shone the torch on these animals, I found they were actually squirrels, pulling me to safety. Phew. Relief washed over me. But now, there was one more problem. How would I get back home again? Suddenly, the squirrels started carrying me all the way out of the wood. They jumped from tree to tree, never touching the ground. Finally, I was home. Every day from then on, I gave nuts to the squirrels to thank them, and the wolves never came back to the wood.
The end. "2020 was a difficult year. At the end of March, everyone had to go into lockdown. I was no longer allowed to go to school and play in the playground. I couldn't go to the shops with my mum or visit family and friends. I had to do all my schoolwork at home with my mum and dad being my teachers. It was fun, but I really missed being in the classroom with my teachers and friends.
I was allowed to get out once a day for exercise. Mommy, me, and Roman, my twin brother, would ride our bikes along the river in the sunshine, and Mommy would pack ice lollies for us as a treat. It felt good to get out of the house. It made me feel happy.
Time went by, and I couldn't see my friends. I felt sad. I really missed my friends so much.
Playing hide and seek, and 40-40, we had loads of fun laughing together. It was not the same without them, and I thought about them all the time. My friends are very special to me. I think they're great. My friend Teddy, he's so funny. He makes me laugh every day. And Rosie is kind and gentle and quiet, and Charlotte is funny and also kind, and Layla is clever and respectful.
There are some things I hate in lockdown. Wearing face coverings. I feel like I can't breathe. Not being able to go to my friend's house for a play date. Not being allowed to play in the park. Not being able to go to see your grandma and grandpa. And missing my gymnastics class every week. Missing all my aunties and uncles and cousins. I really miss the fun trips to London. And visiting the museums, looking at really interesting artifacts. Visiting the shops with lots of brilliant things like toys and sweets and clothes and cafes.
Lockdown has made me realise all the things that I'm grateful for and the things I'd like to do in the future. The things I'm really grateful for are my family, the food I have to eat, the water that comes from the tap, my warm, cosy bed with my puffy pillows, my toys I play with, my pink blanket that has my name on it, my bike I ride to different parks, my scooter that I ride to school on, and all my dolls that I play with, and the clothes so that I don't get cold, and they keep me warm and comfortable, and my shoes so that I can run better, my socks so that my feet don't get cold. And the thing I'm most looking forward to when lockdown ends is going shopping with my mum for new shoes and a scarf and jumping on my trampoline 5 times a day, jumping so high that I touch the sky, and going to the cinema to see the new blockbuster movie, eating popcorn and drinking juice with my best friends, Layla, Rosie, Lilia, and Teddy, and having the best time and enjoying it together.
The very best and most important thing is all the love and hugs I want to give to family and friends. And actually see people's faces and smiles.
There he was, a little white dog being dragged around the park on a tight lead by a young girl. I felt more agitated with every step she took. The dog looked very unhappy, and I turned away because there was nothing I could do. I wished that I could walk the dog properly so that he could be happy. A few days later, I met the girl and her mother in the park, and I asked her if I could walk her dog for her sometimes. Her mother said she would be grateful, as she was very busy at work, and it was often hard for her to do it. And Roso and I became best friends as I walked him almost every day. I loved his soft brown ears and his rough white coat and his loving hazelnut eyes. He loved chasing squirrels and barking at the ducks. He always jumped in the river and growled at the dogs on the other side. And then, when he comes out, he shakes and he splashes us and runs off ahead. And often I took him to a bigger park that he enjoyed because it was open and he could run up with this friendly, energetic Jack Russell called Austin. I really wished at all these times that Roso was all mine. And then one day, his owner asked to speak to my parents. And she was very serious. And I was worried that Roso was sick, or that perhaps I had done something wrong. I heard my dad say that we would think about it. And that night, my mum came into my bedroom and sat by my bedside, and I didn't know what to expect. She told me that Roso's family were moving to New York City for work. I was so confused and sad and shocked at the same time. And how would Roso cope on the plane? Will he miss me? Who would be my best friend now? And then my mum smiled and looked at me. What I so moving in with us, as they couldn't take him with them to the USA. And I was so relieved. I wanted to jump and run and sing. I was so happy. And now I could make him happy too.
I want to tell you how I've been made. It's important to explain. Some people think ADHD is odd, but don't worry, it's the wires in my brain. Imagine the wiring of a plug. The plug is never tired. The wires in my brain are all mixed up. It's just how I've been wired. Sometimes when kids have ADHD, they fidget and move about. They find themselves distracted, can be angry, and even shout out. I also have this thing called autism. You may have heard of this too. Both these disabilities are hidden, so I may just look like you. But next time you wonder what it's like to be like me, just be patient. Try to understand. And please, be kind. That's my plea.
Staggering down the hills above the cliffs, we watch the rays of luminescent light shine from the sky, resembling God's fingers stretching out to touch the faint aqua sea. Sunlight hits the water, making it look like an elegant golden polka dot dress. A strong wave of crisp air hits me. The murmuring cows listen to the swoosh and crash of waves down below.
Drizzling rain begins to fall from the darkening skies. Attempting to make our way down towards the beach, we scramble down rocks that have been formed to make a roughshod staircase. As we go further down the hill, the ground is uneven and jags of stone jut out. Reaching the wind-swept beach, we dash to the forsaken winter water. Piles of rock have tumbled down from the cliffs above.
Magnificent curling ammonite fossils, a treasure in the shimmering sea. Thousands of perfect black skimming stones, flat and round, ready for us. Seaweed is so pungent and oily, everyone slips over whilst attempting to hold their noses. Glass-like water slides over a variety of rocks before gushing at our boots. I love this beach. It is tranquil and serene.
Retiring back up the rocky cliffs, we decide to go a different route. As we climb further up the slope, we are all in misery. Brown mud goes up to our knees. It is the stickiest, wettest, gooeyest sludge ever. Mud, glorious mud. We are stuck in a quagmire.
We can't go under it.
Oh, we cannot go over it.
No, we have to go through it. One boot is lost to the brown ooze. There is nothing we can pull ourselves up with. Razor-sharp, thorny bushes offer the only guidance. Finally, we climb up. I am sure no one escapes this dreaded mud without being covered in it. Attempting to wipe our hands using tissues, I notice a grey deer standing in the bushes. It has a wonderful face. Eyes like beads and antlers like chunky branches. Before I can look at it properly, it darts away from me and the sea.
To relax from all this excitement, we retire to a local castle called Corfe Castle, a ruin. Rocks jut out of the earthy ground.
We find a way to climb up some of the stones, and there we make our own little nest. So high, we feel we are above the whole world, and that only we know this special place.
The green grass sways and dances in the wind as if under our command.
Light shines down upon us and our shading beach.
Everyone stepped back from the menacing streams of hungry, evil mist, and sure enough, there was the sound of a speeding gallop coming from within the mystical fog. Hooves furiously pounded the dirt, and the thunderous noise echoed over the hill eerily. Slowly, but surely, a horse was beginning to emerge from the mist. It was a mare, black as midnight with a mane and tail of creamy white. Its sleek leather reins had intricate patterns embroidered on them with golden thread, and the smooth brown saddle was studded with diamonds and rubies. The cool, calm brown eyes of that horse, although deep and innocent at first, had an edge of menace.
The rider atop the jeweled saddle was clothed all in black. Even the face was wound in a black mask, as if an endless void was wrapped around the high-held head. 2 piercing green eyes surveyed the scene, flaming with a furious jade fire. Scars and cuts slashed through the showing parts of skin, and one was a thin red line that cut through one of the fierce green eyes and split the eyebrow in 2. The figure was slim, held in a position suggesting it was wary of danger, but ready to cause danger as well. The hands were aloft, the stance was ready. Something silver flickered in one hand. It was a pistol. In a flash, the pistol was whipped down and pointed straight at the coachman.
Bang, bang!
2 silver bullets shot at the coachman like swooping birds of prey. One narrowly missed him, and one caught the other's cheek. Then, as if controlled by some mechanical force, everyone sprang forward and pointed their guns at the mysterious figure. Click went the sound of rifles being cocked. The figure's eyes narrowed before opening wide like 2 green pools, before becoming an angry crimson, like lava lakes.
The eyes flickered. Red, green, red, green. The continuous flashing accelerated with every turn, and soon the eyes were a whirling blur of colour. Suddenly, with a blinding burst of bright light, the figure disappeared.
The sound of clattering metal obliterated the eerie silence as the men dropped their guns in shock. Confusion was painted all over their faces. There was nothing else for the terrified men to do except journey on through the thickening mist with their precious mail. But they spoke in hushed tones to everyone they met, telling them of a rider in black with magic eyes. Thus began the legend of the Midnight Horseman.
Bombs shrieks up above, discharging their furious cries. As scarlet waterfalls gushed from gaping wounds, they fell in hundreds, in thousands.
Yet poppies bloomed and rose out of the red,
cheering the remaining troops on.
But they were not heard amidst the deafening guns and the bombs. A green fog envelops me, striving to suffocate, choking out the last remnants of breath. I clumsily fumbled for my mask. As people expired all around me, blameless they succumbed to the deception that led fathers, sons, and brothers to their deaths. They never knew that they would be living in this hell. I felt secluded in this field of corpses, alone, but for the poppies and the bombs. I trudged through the rat-infested trenches, exhausted by this quarrel with the foe.
A bullet was fired from far off.
I knew it was my time. I did not feel any pain as it pierced through my skull. Soundlessly, I slumped down, grateful at last. The bombs were silent.
Coronavirus, coronavirus, what have you done? Coronavirus, coronavirus, you've spoiled all the fun.
You've ruined our lives, you've ruined our day. Oh, coronavirus,
Please go away.
We're trying to fix you, but it's really hard.
Oh, we're clever people, but we're not that smart.
We've got our hand sanitizer.
We've got our masks.
But finding a vaccine is one very big task.
We've got to remember social distancing.
But many people are not actually listening.
We must thank the NHS. They have shown selflessness at its best.
A lot of people have to self-isolate, and that's something we all hate.
The pandemic is causing so much stress. Could we be in an even bigger mess?
Everything has changed.
It will never seem the same.
There is not really a positive side, as many people have sadly died. I wish this was all a dream.
This stupid pandemic makes me want to scream.
The coronavirus has not been our friend,
But
someday
it
will end.
In the forest of dappled green light, trees stand tall with towering height. Bugs and insects set off to work, hiding from predators in the shadows they lurk. Vibrant birds swoop in the trees, eating nuts and berries as much as they please. Slithers of light run down the leaves and glisten on the webs that the spiders weave. Ladybirds nestle in the tree canopy, a dazzling jewel in the forest's rich panoply. And bluebells carpet the forest floor, fluttering butterflies want to explore.
But all this wonder could disappear. The end of the forest could be near. Lights and gases are ending lives.
It's even worse than guns and knives.
If only we could listen to Greta and make the whole world a lot better.
No fireworks.
No outing.
No parties.
No shouting.
No handshakes.
No hugging.
No proper way of greeting.
No play dates.
No travel.
No friendly meeting.
No popping into a family member.
Oh, no singing.
No sparklers.
No dining.
No
cozy
cosy
seating.
seating.
No
No
coughing,
coughing,
no
no
cuddling,
cuddling,
no
no
bonfires, no
bonfires, no
gathering, no.
November.
When I first found out I had dyslexia, I was 8 years old. And no one was surprised because everyone knew I had it from the way I worked and how I could not really think fast. I couldn't really learn my spelling and I got all my words mixed up. I remember when I was in year 2 and we had to write a passage in our books, I just repeated and repeated the same sentence. Then I went home and I told my parents, and they took me to this woman who I went to for 3 days. She made me do a test and some worksheets, and at the end of the 3 days, she sat down with my mum and she told her I had dyslexia. When you have dyslexia, it can give you a lot of mixed feelings sometimes. It can make you feel sad because your brain is different and you don't understand a lot of things. It can also make you frustrated because you can study and study, but you still don't get the mark you want. And sometimes you can feel very sad because others will pass with ease and I don't. It can also make you feel sad because no one really understands you. Sometimes you get shouted at because you don't understand the question, and that makes me really upset because everyone gets it, but you don't. When I found out I had dyslexia, I realized it's not a punishment. It's more a blessing. I heard that many famous people had accomplished so many amazing things, like Albert Einstein. He was a mathematician, a genius, and a scientist, but not a lot of people know that he had dyslexia. And I thought, if he is a genius and he had it, that means I could be a genius. If you're not good at maths and English, or just good at one, you have to realize that you are incredible at so many other things. You could be amazing at music, or art, or science, or drama, or PE, or sport, or anything. Just because you're not good at one thing, well, it doesn't mean you're bad at everything. You may need to put in a bit more effort, but that's okay. You just need to try your best, and that's all you can do. I hope this shows people that you can have dyslexia and still be incredible, and you don't have to be perfect. And just accept that you're not perfect in English and you're not perfect in maths. And no one is. And dyslexia doesn't mean that you're weird and different. It makes you special. And it pushes you to levels that are amazing.
If all the world were fabric,
I would travel the world with a cotton camera, snapping embroidered photos of satin castles and little cushion animals with shining bead eyes. And at the end of the day, I'd sew a scrapbook of memories, snipped carefully around the corners and fastened with a pin.
if all the world were fabric,
I would gaze upon thousands of patchwork lives, each with black satin-rich emptiness and golden red silk joy held in a cruel balance.
I would find those with missing patches or loose threads and sew back their lives, finding cut-out friends and family who've been left behind in a drawer for eons, never used.
if all the world was fabric,
Oh, I would scoop up those close to me and carry them off in a soft woolen purse, keeping them safe and cozy, like being under fluffy duvets in bed on a chilly winter's night.
I would spend all day sewing a lovely cushioned house complete with hundreds of linen floorboards and fleece furniture and a lovely plush cat.
Then I'd lay them out all gently to live in perfect harmony and peace.
but all the world is not fabric. It can be harsh, stiff, starchy, and brittle. But whilst we can imagine it were, we can scrapbook the good times, keeping them till we're old and never, ever forget. Science means knowledge. Science involves investigating what is around us, using previously found information to create new ideas and questions to investigate and answer. This information makes the world a better place. Look around you. You get light at the flick of a switch, entertainment with a press of a button, instant communication, transport to anywhere in the world, a drug to cure you. The list could go on.
Thank you. Science changes lives. It has given the blind boy sight, helped the lame soldier walk, given the barren couple a child, and the cancer patient time. Science saved my life. When I was 2 months old, I was so sick, I went below my birth weight. This was because I couldn't tolerate my own mother's milk. A special chemical formula saved my life. If I had been born 30 years earlier, I wouldn't have survived. I'm a girl. In the past, there has been lots of discrimination between girls and boys. Boys could vote, girls could not. Boys got an education, girls did not. Boys were recognized for doing science, and girls were not. However, some managed to break free. This has changed. The world is now proud of its women scientists. My favorite female scientist is Florence Nightingale. Without her, so many more people would have lived a shorter life. She was the pioneer of washing hands. And think about how many times you wash your hands a day, especially this year. Before Florence Nightingale, most people didn't wash their hands, even doctors and nurses in hospitals. She used science and maths to investigate the best way to treat patients. She collected lots of data showing that her practices were reducing death rates, with the amazing result that the more soldiers died in war from preventable diseases than injuries. Her science changed people's lives and their perspective of what helped reducing death rates and what didn't. This year, 2020, has been like no other that we have experienced in our lives. We would never have known what was suddenly killing so many people across the world without our knowledge of viruses. No more needs to be said, except that science has given us hope. Hope that a new vaccine will take us back to the normality that we remember. In my world, I love science as it is taught in school, because we learn through investigations and hands-on experimentation. I learn by doing and actually seeing things happen. Physics lets us explore things as wide as space, my favorite, or as small as atoms. We are biology. Everything around us is made from the 118 elements of the periodic table. Physics, chemistry, and biology are intertwined. Finally, the big challenges of life are helped by science. I'm sure that if someone from 100 years ago was to visit today, they would see all the technology we have and think that it is just magic. I know by the end of my lifetime, I will see things today that I would think of as impossible.
The polar bears are now the only snow.
Living in a land as precious as gold.
There is nowhere for all of them to go.
Arctic foxes fight for one final bone before succumbing to the brutal cold.
The polar bears are now the only snow.
Water is invading the seabirds' homes. The sea is rapidly rising. It will not hold.
There is nowhere for all of them to go.
Seals were exuberant creatures not long ago, but they have lost their vigor and their soul.
The polar bears are now the only snow.
Scientists attempt to alert the foe of all the damage they cause to this world.
There is nowhere for all of them to go.
Now they are on an iceberg far from home, all waiting for this story to unfold.
The polar bears are now the only snow.
There is nowhere for them all to go.
My friend once told me that wisdom is the key to the universe. I thought nothing of it. Now I laugh, for I know how wrong he was. The real key to the universe is a simple object, of which almost every human on the earth possesses: a clock. Say the right thing at the right time, and you'll travel wherever the strange, faultless universe wants to take you.
One night, in the heart of London, I was staring at my clock, wondering if I was ever going to fall asleep. The screen read 10:24. My blurry vision was solely focused on those digits. My hazy mind was sprinting. I was trying to figure out what was missing, what I'd lost. And finally, my drowsiness had gotten to me. I breathed the only word that was on my mind: lost. As the whisper passed my lips, I closed my eyes and lost consciousness. I woke up.
I woke up to find a beautiful, monochromatic landscape before me. I blinked, but it was still there. I took a step forward. Before me was an ornate set of steps. My shocked body tripped me up, and in my stunned head hit every step. I picked myself up at the milky floor and took a real look at the divine scenery in front of me. Everything was perfectly still, except me. Everything was perfectly chalky, except me. Everything was perfect, except me. My mind was racing too fast for logic to take part of my actions. I ran to each statue, begging there to be a sign that this was a dream. But there was none. The static lion head seemed to be growing abnormally in my direction. The dormant fountain seemed to flow unrealistic. The stationary statue of Lord Nelson seemed laughing wickedly at me. Every turn I made, a new evil was glaring at me. As I turned and sprinted back up the steps, I fell down. It was mere seconds before I realized I was being stopped from leaving. I was stuck in this impossible maze. I was trapped in by immobile white marble. I was imprisoned in an ivory-coated Trafalgar Square. Within minutes, I had come to terms with my strange dreamland, and I was ready to see how far this madness was willing to go. I got off my perch on top of one of the lions, and I ventured to climb Nelson's column. Just as my left foot touched the first step, I heard something I thought I might not ever hear again. A voice.
I wouldn't do that.
A shimmer of hope fell upon my face as I turned to find a girl, cloaked in a colour different from that of my snowy prison. Her perfect eyes shimmered in an invisible light when they met mine. She smiled. My lips parted as if to thank her. However, my curiosity took over. Where? I paused just for a moment. However, she took the opportunity to speak.
We are in, Lost.
Audrey?
In a garden of sweet pansy or the waft of fresh-baked cake, there's a warm and content feeling, something one can't mistake. In every carolling blackbird and prick of needle and thread, we will look back at her memory of green thumb and brioche bread.
It hit. The tears, bullets, screams. Darkness was victorious and light was fading. The year was 1992. Yugoslavia split up. Every former piece of the solved puzzle was now independent and lonely. Agreement was failing to be made, and soon a shadow was creeping over the horizon. I was an average 12-year-old at the time. I had an average family. It was averagely large, including me, my parents, my 2 younger brothers, and my personal favorite, my older sister, who was always at my back. Clustered together in our modest residence in Tuzla, we became quite close with each other. But one night, when sleep couldn't reach me and the full moon dared me to sneak to the window, I wasn't aware of the arriving change. And then I heard something. Gunshots. Word on the street was that there were attacks in town, that soldiers had occupied the mountains, that we were to run and hide. I went directly to bed and forced myself to sleep that night. I should have tried to ignore it, wondering if I should tell my family, but it was my sister's prom night, and I wouldn't alarm everybody just yet, not until she comes home. She was graduating from secondary school. She was beautiful, my sister. Always wished to be as astonishing as her. Currently, I'm not special. We shared jet black hair, but my bland brown eyes were nothing like the deep ocean she kept in her piercing gaze. I watched as she put on her sapphire necklace, waiting patiently for my turn to wear it. It's been passed down through generations, and now it was her turn. She wore a thrifty yet gorgeous indigo gown and put on the slight amount of makeup that gathered dust in the house. She walked outside to greet the night's cold, ignoring Mum's warnings about the danger outside, and instead just hugged her goodbye and turned to me. "I saw you looking at that necklace a while ago. Don't worry, you're the next to wear it," she whispered, grasping me in her arms and kissing me on the cheek. I wiped it off. Now I wish I hadn't. The clock was ticking. Even the moon itself was full of anticipation, and suddenly an urgent thump on the door startled us. I hurried to open the door, but instead of my sister, it was our neighbor. Surprisingly red-eyed and shattered, I tensed. He then informed us that a grenade hit, exactly when my sister was enjoying her last childhood days. Dressing as soon as possible, we drove to the site of Capia, and unlike the once great gates, flashing streetlights, and alive alleys, it now reeked of death. We found her in the ashes. The necklace still on her, her eyes still open, hands still warm, gaze still blue. Rain trickled down her face, but mine was already soaked in tears. And then I remembered. My parents stared at me. I was taking off her necklace. She promised me I could wear it next. The late spring dawn of Bushy Park's morning routine gently throws glittering rays on the cricket court. The fresh, trimmed grass gratefully takes substantial sips from the warmth of the rising sun. The entire landscape of this lush area impetuously cherishes the gentle steps of the tweeting summer on the threshold of the gates. Hardly anyone would make a single attempt to prevent the carelessness of the hot summer or of the idleness of the August afternoon. Everything around is so alert, but in their own rest. I quietly stroll through the gate and prepare myself for the same relaxation which this Sunday morning offers me, and it probably shall remain until the autumn precipitation imposes flood and ferocious burden on people's houses. Well, I shall not wait until such an atrocious moment happens, but at least today it is Sunday, and I could use it as an excuse for my short break and from daily active sport. A gentle walk will not harm my fitness, but boost my energy and patience for future obstacles. The silence in my head, occupied with these quiet convictions, is interrupted by the generous panting of a jogger followed by her greyhound. Her ruddy and puffy face suggests her exhaustion with the intrusion of the summer heat foreshadows, but at least the agile pace of the dogs gives me a positive hope that this motivation for fitness goals will not diminish as long as the sun is on the threshold of the next season. Should, however, the rays ruthlessly invade London, I will be able to see this lovely girl only in the late afternoon, having a glass of chilled apple cider under the deep cooling shade. A lass and a lad need to live their life. That's the way. I mean, this is what the benevolence of the half-term and the advantages of lockdown make us believe. Another panting voice disrupts my newborn thought. Similar, identical, tedious. No, my day is tedious. I look at my long, ethereal white skirt. I should have worn my shabby black shorts and set off with a light run from Feltham to the Little Kingdoms around Diana Fountain. If only I could have changed this instant dissatisfaction, fruit of my deceitful Sunday idleness, and outperform all these positive faces and my persistence and energy. Well, notwithstanding, I shall outperform the deceitful idleness of the summer and this deceitful idleness of the August afternoon. It's going to be a pretty hot day. I can feel it. I can even see it in the preoccupied eyes of a few deer standing behind the nearby fence. It shapes an agreeable, gloomy shadow where I'd probably feel comfortable to develop my studies. No, I'm joking. Neither the deer seem worried about the weather or the contrary. They are supposed to look forward to it. It is reproduction season. Nor would I enjoy being stuck around weeds and nettle during early spring haze. Just carry on. Tomorrow is your run.
Oh, it's nice weather today, isn't it?
An elderly lady with particularly short hairstyle and wearing casual shorts salutes me cheerfully. Pretty nice, indeed. I share her nice and original opinion, observing her lovely shortcut and suspiciously and rapidly carry on in rhythm with the endless lifting of the sun rays.
Oh, it's lovely today, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so nice. Indistinct passers-by share their common, original and nice opinion to each other. I try to smile. My response is a generous smile concealing my disillusionment. What would you think of me if I confide in you my strong disgust of this nice weather? Just this colloquial, general and stupid nice is capable enough to convince me in being a total state of complete contradiction. Just the fact that the insignificance of the word, which we have always used to be advised to avoid at school, evokes contraindicative significance in people's daily chattering urges me to respond with the most resolute rejection. I hate summer. I hate the weekends. I hate holidays. I hate any hot day of the year. I hate how all of these events cause such a leisure idleness around the people and how nice could be the only effort with which they would express their gratification for the sporadic laziness which the sun, the heat, and the public holidays offer. I look around me. A sweaty, elderly cyclist turns the pedals energetically, and I just wonder, to what extent will this indulgence last?
Through your eyes, I see
A galaxy of stars, paving a journey of hope and light amidst the inky blackness created by our selfish and destructive nature.
Through your eyes, I see
Your generation, uplifted by love and unity, those hopeful stars humanity never had, carrying you to a land of peace and harmony.
Through your eyes, I see
The glass heart of humanity that could never love or trust, fractured by your very touch.
Reconstructing a heart that generates love and equality.
not a thick grey fog killing our Mother Earth.
Through your eyes there is faith.
But
But I am sorry for making you spend your lives rectifying our mistakes.
because unless you change the human heart,
You cannot save the human race.
At least that's what I hope to see. Through your eyes.
hello. It's been a while. I was trying to put off coming, to be honest. I knew the next time I'd come, I'd tell the whole story. Let's get to it. You know about the house on Tempest Lane? You know about Victor? You know about the ghost maker? Let's say you had a first-hand experience of him. My kind. We're sensitive to that sort of thing. We hear it. It's the sound of a soul being plucked out of a mind. Imagine a scream mixed with chalk on a blackboard. That's how I felt when I opened the door. The house screamed. A million spectres born from hell. No one knows. No one must. Victor opened it first. The ghost maker right behind him, gloves on. You were dead by then. I know that at least. The machine was cooling down. I could hear it whirring. No more souls to take for a while, at least. They made that clear. They also said they were busy. They said they were oh so sorry that I should come back at dusk and they could talk more about where they'd seen you, how you'd passed by. What had happened? They said I'd even be able to come in for tea. And voices were screaming. And screaming, deafening, like the waves which crash against the stone bays. So I did what they said. I came back. I came back with a wheelbarrow on which rested 5 tanks of kerosene. I came back with a pack of matches. I came back with a knife and Grandpa's shotguns, just to be safe. I heard screaming again as the house burnt before my eyes. But it wasn't their souls. I heard the agony in their voices as they realized they weren't going to be able to push the door open. As the wheelbarrow and the empty tanks made an echoing noise. I can't really describe it. They'll only stay in my thoughts, I suppose. The ground floor. That was the one that gave way first. The support, Victor and the ghost maker. They love their houses old and rickety, creepy, fear-inspiring. It bound the souls more tightly. It also meant the wooden foundations burned quickly. The whole thing collapsed. Or so I read in the paper. I was gone by then. All they found was the machine. The bones in the back too. It scares me sometimes, but not as much as suffocating must have scared them. I've left flowers. Oh, I almost forgot. Also left a letter from your mother. She says she's sorry. You should forgive her. Nothing she could have done. Nothing anyone could have done. Well, except me. Maybe. I could have come earlier. I know all about Victor and the Ghost Maker. I never thought they'd come for you. I always thought they'd try me first. That's my fault. Anyway, I'll be seeing you around. I'll try and make it regular from now on. Next Sunday morning? Sounds great.
How much of it was lies? That I'd always be pretty in your eyes, that you'd lay down your life for me, or that your love ran so deeply that I clouded every corner of your mind, that everything you had was mine. You'd always be there by my side, or that it hurt you to see me cry. You didn't mean a single word. My trust in you was undeserved. Each day I think of you and cry. So how much of us was just a lie?
I'm 103. Goodness me. I'm still young at heart, not long in the tooth. I have all my marbles. I'm just a mere youth. I've lived a good life with its highs and lows. I've learned many lessons. I've dealt with great blows. I was born in the war, amidst struggle and strife. Beneath bombs and grenades, I started my life. Despite squalor and hardship, my spirits soared high. We pulled together till victory was nigh. In the subsequent years, I married my wife. She was sweet and vivacious, the love of my life. Our family flourished in the big baby boom. Our lives were idyllic, without upset or gloom. When my wife died, years later, I was distraught and bereft. My world toppled over. My heart ached. I wept. But life hurtled forwards at great breakneck speed. Seize the day, make the most, carpe diem. Now, I have a wizened old face, with whiskers galore, my wrinkles a map of my lifetime before. My old hands are gnarled, my vision is poor. My ears, large and useless, they're hearing no more. I'm now rather doddery, with a kind, toothless grin. My joints are protruding, I'm stooped, frail, and thin. Yet, I'm the happiest man. Of my memories, I dream. As I relax in my armchair, I'm the cat with the cream. I've learned to be patient, to love and be kind, to count all my blessings. They're easy to find. I live in the moment. I'm cheerful, upbeat. I'm true to my word, never admitting defeat. I've done all I wished for. If my curtain's call now, I've played my part well, and I'll happily bow. Aging's a brave game, in challenging ways. I'm thoroughly modern, in an ancient worn shell. I've a new TV sound box and a smart view doorbell. I'm aware of world issues. I've altered my plan for a flexitarian diet and composting plan. I've planned my departure. Carbon neutral's the way. My resomator's ready for my ultimate day. I'll fertilise the field beneath the old oak tree, then join my precious sweetheart. In heaven we shall be. She's in my sun and rain, with songs of hope and cheer, whispering words of love. I'll join her without fear. The gods, despite being all-knowing and all-seeing, were in old age prone to getting things slightly wrong. Well, not just slightly, for when one was divine, these mistakes could be absolutely catastrophic. Such phenomena were often classed as works of the devil. Wars, plagues, the M25 London orbital motorway. But when the votes were counted, TikTok dances were the obvious candidate for Exhibit A.
After almost a century asleep, the gods had become quite out of touch with their world and had decided to get reacquainted by staying in the sunny suburbs of Florida. Unbeknownst to them, they were quickly making a name for themselves due to the absurd actions they committed in an effort to absorb human culture. The locals, and even a few news stations, had come up with a name for them.
Florida Man.
And enjoyed writing about their daily activities.
Florida Man tried to run to Bermuda in an inflatable bubble, rescued by Coast Guard.
Of course, they all thought these incidents were isolated cases, but to each their own. It wasn't as though the gods were men either, but the gods had given up trying to explain their rejection of the gender binary sometime in the 1500s.
So when Lucifer stumbled upon a balding individual in a pair of neon lycra shorts and a hideous pair of Crocs, he drew it up to a slight miscommunication between the gods and the human race. He had enough experience as it was to simply not question the gods' antics.
Ah, Lucy.
One of the gods said, in a deep, monotonous tone, belying appearances.
Look at my trousers. Leggings, they call them. Ha, leggings. How marvellous. I had my doubts, but the lady in the shop was very persuasive. And I'm tired of the toga. Do you want a pair?
No, thank you, my lord.
Lucifer sighed.
What's next on the agenda?
The gods shifted in their chaise lounge.
Oh, not much, to be honest. The fires in January were a tad harsh, so we reckon they should have this year off. Anyway, humans have got 2024 to look forward to. I've a lovely idea for a virus, and I've penciled it into the planner. We're overdue anyway. Lucy?
Mm-hmm.
Lucy, are you all right?
Lucifer's face had become alarmingly pale. He spluttered, gasped, eventually spat out.
I believe I may have misheard you, just slightly. Humour me, if you will, but you did say that the pandemic and the protests and the election drama was for the next decade, right? As in this year.
The gods jolted to their feet.
Are you telling me that you've managed to cram in a whole decade's worth of issues into 12 months?
Lucifer trembled, staring ashamedly.
It seems so.
The gods sat down hard.
Well,
At least that explains the mail these past months.
Been wondering what everyone's been moaning about.
Hello, everyone. What a stunning display of wonderful new writing and acting talent that was. We were absolutely knocked out by the standard of the writing and the acting of those pieces, and just shows what can be done in spite of a lockdown. My name's Nick George, and I'm the chairman of Arts Richmond, and it's my privilege and pleasure to host this event for the very first time. It may be my first time, but as many of you will know, this is one of Arts Richmond's most established events, which we hold annually for at least 7 years in its current form, and with origins going back some 40 years. Last year, we appointed 2 Arts Richmond laureates, and shortly after, we went in the first lockdown, so we were unable to send them any invites over this year. We have decided to keep both laureates for another year, and we welcome Simone de Almeida in the audience, who will be sending in a review of this event and much more throughout the year. This has been such a challenging year for all the arts, and particularly for all the performing arts. So we're especially delighted that the Young Writers' Festival, that was the last event held in the Exchange before the first lockdown, and we're back with you a year later on what is the World Theatre Day. We have 4 categories of prizes in this festival, and we hope to interact online with all 4 winners shortly. To help us, could you please ensure that you enter your name against your device, or parents, please make themselves known in the chat room. I would now like to introduce His Worship, the Mayor of Richmond upon Thames, Councillor Jeff Acton, to announce the winners.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you very much, Nick, for that. And what a splendid afternoon we've had. The standard, as Nick said, was fantastic. I've really enjoyed it, and well done for everybody who took part. It's now my job to say who the winners actually are. So, starting with the first one, the year 2, the winner here is Alba Spencer Brown for Wolves. Well done. Very insightful piece that was too. And the second one, winner for year 6, was Celia Grace Skingley for The Journey. Also, really well done too. And for year 8, we had Tilly Downey with Arctic Villanelle. Very good title, I thought. And the final one was for year 10 was to Avni Ladois for Through Your Eyes, which is beautifully performed as well. So well done to everybody. Superb. And you'll be receiving these, I hear, from Linda soon through the post, yeah? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Are we now going to see some of the winners? Are they with us? Hello?
Are they with us? Yes. There they are.
Oh, they're all there. Yep. If you can put on your cameras and unmute your microphones, we can all see and hear you.
Yeah.
Well, we hope you can hear and see us anyway.
That screen's on a bit of a delay, so it might.
Yes, there's a bit of a delay. Yeah. So, okay.
We've got Tilly, we've got Albert.
You can hear something. We can't see and hear you, unfortunately, at the moment.
Sounds not good, is it?
Give it a few more seconds. Ah, who's that?
So we've got Albert here, but it doesn't let us do the video. It says host has blocked us from starting the video. So.
And can we hear Alba as well? Are you there, Alba?
So it's at RN.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, we can't. Hello? Okay.
Okay.
Hello?
Oh, hello.
Hi,
Is
hi,
that
Alba. Hi.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Well done.
Well done.
Really good writing. We
Yeah.
really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Are you going to be writing another one soon? Good. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, is there anybody else online that we can hear? Anybody else?
I'm here, but my video also doesn't work.
Okay.
This is Tilly down.
Hello, Tilly,
Hi, Tilly.
and well done.
Well done, yeah.
Did you enjoy seeing your work up on stage? Your writing acted so beautifully?
You acted so well, yes.
Yes, it was really good. And I really liked seeing everybody else's work too.
Yeah,
Good, that's good.
they were all really, really good.
Very original,
All the
yeah.
entries, all the
Yeah.
entries.
Very
Very
cre-
well done.
Very clever, yes, very good.
Is there anybody else?
Hello.
It's like, hello, who's
Is
that?
that Avril? Okay.
Avril.
Hi, this is Avni.
Avni.
Avni, sorry, yes.
Well done.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy seeing your work come to life?
Yes, it was incredible, and it's an absolute honour to win.
Great.
That's well.
Good.
Well deserved, well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very well done.
Yeah.
Any questions for the actors?
Any questions for the actors from anybody?
Come
They've
on.
worked very, very hard.
There must be some...
Did the actors have anything to say to you?
Yeah, what about the
Yes.
actors? Would you like to say anything?
It was amazing to get to put all of your work on stage. It's amazing to be, this is the first time I've been back in theatre in so long. It was just amazing.
It's great to live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great to see
And
live.
it's so talented
So-
for people's ages. It was shockingly talented.
Yeah.
Because I recruited both of these two, and as I said to them, that when you do it, it's absolutely amazing the amount of opportunities. Because we say we're literally putting together about 26 pieces.
Yeah.
So it's 26 plays that you've
Yeah.
got to do, and
26 worlds you have to create.
Yes.
It's mad.
So did you...
Inhabit all those characters?
I was going to say, did you run through them? How much did you have to prepare for that?
It was funny because this year, I've done this a few times, and this year was actually the most, because you read them first, and obviously you think, oh, right, this one's really good, they're all good, and it's like, I can do this and this. And this was the most actually getting it on its feet, really brought more and more out of it for us
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So we found loads just by reading it and then standing up and doing it.
Yeah.
It was really amazing.
How long did you rehearse all together?
It's been about 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
About.
We did lots of
Really?
Zooms.
2.5
It
weeks.
was our first
Lots of
time doing
screens.
Zoom. Yeah.
But then we did do a couple in person. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it wasn't just today.
Absolutely. Can I just add something as a director, just to the authors, just to say, when we started on this work and we saw it on the page, we thought these are marvellous. And then when we started working on it, and as AJ says, get it on its feet, every piece, I think, really came to life, and I think that's a real accolade to the writers and the way they've managed to put words together. And haven't they managed to put them together well?
Yes, very well.
Yes, so-
Very
so
impressive.
Thank you,
Very.
authors.
Well done,
All
authors.
of them.
Yes,
Not
well
only
done.
the
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah.
Each one came
Yeah.
to life.
Yes,
didn't they?
each
Every
one,
single
yeah.
one.
Yes. And all different things. Very, very good.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them meant quite a lot to us as well individually. We all had favourites and we kept saying, this is my new favourite,
Yeah.
because we do another one and we like
Because
it
we
more.
deeply end up connecting
Yeah,
to it. So.
I particularly like the dyslexia one because I'm also dyslexic, and
Yeah.
it was like reading myself at 8 as well. And well, I think she gets to 11 in the thing, but I was like, oh my god, that's my life. I could have said that. It
Right
was-
from the heart, wasn't it?
it was
that one? You could
beautifully
feel that.
written,
Yes, you could.
really
You did it very well,
beautifully
actually. Very, very good.
Absolutely. Yeah. That was, yeah. Great.
Okay.
Well, some people to thank. First of all, we'd like to thank this wonderful Theatre of the Exchange for all their incredible support and kind support at quite short notice this year, because we had to transition this event online, which took a little bit of thinking, so they were very supportive in that. Secondly, we'd have to thank our wonderful director, Keith Waite, for all his hard work.
Yes.
And, of course, last and not least, now I'm going to have to busk on who's here, AJ McGillivray,
Yep, that's right.
Okay.
Well pronounced as well.
Joe Shirley,
Me.
and Cara Steele.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Wonderful work.
Cheers, Thank you.
Very well done, yeah.
Yeah. And then we have the Exchange Tech team, stage management sound, Lisette Barlow. I hope he's getting better from a recent injury. Lighting designer, Matt Kaywood. Technical hires and setup was by Nick McGee of Nick McGee Technical Services. So we'd like to encourage you all to follow us. That's Arts Richmond now. With our we facilitate and support the arts in Richmond. Have been doing so for some time. Do follow us on social media, Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. There'll be a lot more coming on for this event, and we have many other, actually, including some new ones, exciting events planned for 21 as we come out of lockdown. We thank all of you, the audience, for rolling up. You're out there somewhere, we know, and thank you very much for all your support, and also the generous donations that you've given us as well. It all helps so much. There'll be booklets and certificates going out to the winners in the post, and if any parents are kind enough to take a picture of their child holding their certificate, send it into our office and we'll put it in our newsletter as well. So you'll have a souvenir too. So that's it for another year. For more information about Arts Richmond and the things we're going to be doing this year, please visit our website, www.artsrichmond.org.uk. And that's it. Thank you very much, and we'll see you all next year. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Bye.